My name's Gregory Adam Scott, and this is my game, Armored Commander, the World War II Tank Commander Roguelike. Today I'm going to be playing a little bit of Beta 3. This current version that I'm playing is Beta 3.07. It's the work in progress. On the website www.armoredcommander.com you can download Beta 3.06. The version I'm playing is pretty much the same as Beta 3.06. It's got a couple fixes and a couple additions. Today I'm going to be showing off some of the features of the relatively new Beta 3 version, and also showing you the Canadian campaign, which is also a recent addition. Before I get started today, I want to give a shout out to my fellow YouTuber Demos's Quest, who has been doing a series of Let's Play. He started off on the Beta 2 version of Armored Commander, and about 3 days ago he started a new campaign in Beta 3. So if you haven't seen his videos, take a look. He's also playing the Canadian campaign. And I'm really enjoying watching him play, and actually watching him play made me realize that there were a couple bugs, one pretty serious one, where enemy units could do multiple attacks on a tank after a penetrating hit, which is really just kicking the player when he's down. So that is fixed in this current Beta 3.07 version, which should be uploaded in a little bit. So let's get started. So relatively new addition is the gravestone on the bottom right of the screen. As you play different campaigns and your crewmen are killed in action, their information will be added here. Their rank at the time of death, their name, hometown, and then finally the date which they died. And in the game, it will also have the year, either 1944 or 1945, added to the end. At the moment, the default, when you start a new game, when you start a new Bones file, the default is Jack Selliers, which is one of the characters that David Bowie played in a movie, and I've added January 10th, date of death, as kind of a little tribute to him. So he will always be the first entry that is in the sort of the graveyard. But as you lose crew members, even if you're playing a campaign and you end a campaign and start a new one, crew members that you lost in previous campaigns will continue to show up in this graveyard here to give you a reminder of the characters and the people that have fallen during your various campaigns. So let's start a new campaign. We're going to be playing Canada's Best. We're fighting as part of the 4th Canadian Armoured Division. Similar to the other, similar theater of war and similar time period to the other campaign. I think it starts a little bit later in the calendar, and your route is slightly different. In the end, you end up going through Belgium and into the Netherlands as well. And of course, the types of Sherman tanks that you have available to you are also quite different, because British and Commonwealth forces used slightly different models of tank than were available to American forces. So let's start the game. Canada's Best. We're going to pick unlimited tank selection because I want to show off one of the newer tank models that's available in this. We're going to stick with realistic commander replacement, so we're going to have permadeath for our commander. And also newly available in Beta 3 is the ability to start your campaign at any point in the campaign calendar. So if we wanted to, we could start right at the end of the war, or any part in between, any action day in between these two. But today we're going to start at the start of the campaign, August 8th, 1944. And we start in France not too long after the D-Day landings, and our first couple mission days are fighting through France. So in contrast to the Americans that had an almost bewildering array of different types of equipment and Sherman models available to them, the Canadian forces, at least, it's a little bit different for the rest of for the British and Commonwealth forces, but Canadian forces, at least, were pretty restricted. In the Northwest European Theatre of Operations, they basically had 3 basic models of Sherman tank. The Sherman II, which is the British and Commonwealth designation for the M4A1. This is I believe the cast, not the welded, but the cast hull, so the front armor is slightly better. It does not have a loader hatch, with one particular exception. British and Commonwealth 75mm gun tanks anyway did not have a loader hatch, so even later on in the campaign, you don't have the option to upgrade to a later version with a loader hatch. Most of the commanders did not have the vision cupolas. I've read one account of one of the Canadian divisions, one single tank being retrofitted with a cupola very later on, but for the most part, they weren't added. They didn't exist. Luckily, you do have a smoke mortar, so that can help you survive. So that's the Sherman II. We also have the Sherman V, which is the M4A4. Commonwealth designation for the M4A4. The biggest difference is that your front armor is not nearly as good. This is the welded hull Sherman. And finally, and this is the tank I'm going to be playing in this campaign, you have the Sherman VC, later known, apparently not really during the war, this name wasn't officially used, but later called the Firefly. Reportedly because its huge 76mm gun, when fired, gave off a flash like a spark of light coming out of the barrel. And because it uses the discarding sabot rounds, apparently it was also dangerous for any kind of friendly infantry to be in front of the tank when it fired, because pieces of the casing of the round would fly everywhere. So luckily in Armored Commander you don't have to worry about your friendly forces. They're assumed to be sort of they're represented very abstractly running around. You don't have to worry about wounding your own guys. But this is the Firefly. Has a 76 LL gun. LL refers to exceptionally good performance at longer ranges. Your armor is quite light. Your armor is the same as the Sherman 5. It's basically a Sherman 5 with a different gun on the top, with a 17-pounder gun, a late 17-pounder gun. I believe because it was difficult to actually move the rounds and load up the tank with rounds, you do have a loader hatch. What you do not have, however, is an assistant driver, because so much room inside was needed for these large shells that the assistant driver's position was removed and was used for ammo storage instead. So the benefit of having the later gun, the 76LL gun, is that you actually have a chance of penetrating up to the heaviest armored German tanks, even from the front, especially at short range, and your longer range to hit and to kill rolls are much better. The downside is that because you have such a larger gun, and this kind of represents the camouflage that they tried to use to make it look like the gun was shorter, to make it look like just a regular Sherman, because the German forces know that the Firefly is so effective, you will almost always be targeted first. And this is reflected in Armored Commander by a roll that when enemy forces target the lead tank, even though Fireflies were not put in the lead, they will sometimes choose not to attack the lead tank, but instead to attack you. So from what I've read, Fireflies were most often put at the back of the battle group. They weren't placed up front because they don't have great armor, but their range is exceptional, so they don't have to get close to targets to actually try to take them out. But the Germans knew this. If they spotted a Firefly, they would do their best to disable it, because for the most part, as you probably know if you've played some of the other models, the 75mm gun is very ineffective with most of the later German tanks on their front armor, at least. So this is what we're going to be playing. We're going to be playing a Firefly. So let's select that. I'll choose the name that I always choose for my tanks. I'll enter my own name as the commander. And we'll start adding skills. Now, because I've chosen permadeath for my commander, I'm going to give him 1 point of... Actually, I'm going to put 2 points into True Grit, because that also affects injuries that would possibly kill him. And then lastly, I'm going to add a point in Fire Direction, because that's always useful. Hometowns for Canadian forces at the moment, for the most part, the division that I'm modeling, or rather the force that I'm modeling within the 4th Division, for the most part is drawn from, I believe it's the Governor General's Foot Guards, so they are sort of Eastern Ontario. The Canadians unfortunately don't have a whole lot of hometown selections to start with, but at least my character is from Kingston, Ontario, which is not too bad. I think there's only about like 8 or 10, as opposed to the American, where I think there's about 50 different hometowns to choose from, simply because it was easier to find census information as to the largest urban areas around about the 1940s, as opposed to the Canadian case. So, Gunner. Now the Gunner does not have a hatch. He doesn't pop his head up, so it's not as important to give him True Grit. Of course, if there's a penetrating hit, there's the chance that he will be injured, but it's not as important. What is very handy, though, is knows the weak spots, so it will give you a critical hit on an unmodified roll of 3. Greatly increases the chance of getting a critical hit. And let's see, what else do we want to add? Let's do target tracking, because that can remove the negative modifiers for trying to hit a moving target. Loader. The loader is often responsible for repairing the main gun, so let's give him a point in mechanic. And the driver, let's give him 1 point of eye for cover. One of the changes in the last released version of Armored Commander, so this is the one that's actually available for download, is that the bonus for the eye for cover skill is increased from, I think, from a -1 to a -2. If your driver does activate the skill, greatly increased chance of moving into a hull down position, which is always good for survival. I probably shouldn't have given that because the Firefly tank usually starts encounters stopped and hull down, because simply it didn't move out it wasn't moving in the vanguard of the force, so that whether or not you're ambushed or not, it's probably going to be in a much better position tactically than the other Shermans, which were forced to go out in front. But that's fine, you never know, I might actually want to move around during an encounter. So here is the map. We don't yet have the indicators to show you where you are on the map, but that's coming soon. Basically, our campaign will take us from the north of France, through Belgium, and then into the Netherlands in the end. And up here is a representation of the division insignia for the 4th Armored Division. So crew is set. As you notice, we do not have an assistant driver position. If later on, and this should be working in the most recent version, if later on you do change to a tank with an assistant driver position, a new crewman will be assigned to you. Conversely, if you change from one that has a position to one like the Firefly that does not, he will be reassigned and put elsewhere, and you will lose him. So let's begin. Our special ammunition for the Firefly is APDS. What does that mean? We look down here, armor piercing, discarding sabot. This is, for most purposes, I believe, about the same effectiveness as the HVAP that's available to the American 76. It might be actually slightly more effective at different ranges, but for now we have a measly 2 rounds available to us. They become much more common after December of 1944 and into the new year, into 1945. So let's load up the rest of our ammo. Our ready rack is quite small, it's only 5 shells. Let's put in 3 AP, 2 HE. So we filled up, but as always, remember that you can add more ammo than is technically your maximum. The risk is that if you are carrying shells above the maximum normal shell load for your tank, and you do get a penetrating hit, there's much more chance that because you have shells rolling around on the floor and not in the areas where they should be kept, much more chance of exploding. But I know I'm going to use HE shells at the beginning of the day. I know I'm going to use them moving into new areas, so I'm going to load up an extra 20 to begin with. So again, gunner doesn't have a hatch, but the loader does. Everybody starts opened. We'll start with HE. Let's start our day. This is the new representation of bocage areas. I think it's a little bit better. It's still not ideal, but it is a little bit better than the last version. So let's take a look. It's not going to be easy to make it to our exit area before the end of the day. I think the strategy here should be to take this dirt road to the village and then the improved road the rest of the way. So because villages are probably going to have more, also it's muddy ground, so we're going to be moving even slower over the ground. So for our first action, let's check to see what the resistance level is here. And the Canadian campaign is a little bit different. On the first day, you're facing heavy resistance, so you're thrown into the action much quicker. Luckily, it's just light here, so let's move in. Use advancing fire. No resistance. Must have repositioned, I guess so. 1 VP. Oh, so exit area is moved over here. Let's take a look. Exit area is now over here. It actually probably makes a lot more sense to try to move in this direction to try to get onto this road. So let's check this area. Medium, not too bad. Let's still call in artillery just to be sure. There we go. And the longer the sky stays clear and there's no precipitation, the faster this ground will dry out and it'll be easier for us to move around. Let's enter them into the medium area. Muddy ground is already drying out. Battle encounter isn't triggered with medium resistance. And it's bocage, so it's going to be very easy for us and for enemy units to be hauled down. Unfortunately, when we encountered enemy forces, our tank was stopped and not hull down, so they must have caught us by surprise. So what have we got? Light weapons infantry, AT gun, light weapons infantry. Unfortunately, both the light weapons infantry are close range. That means that they might try to do a Panzerfaust attack on us. All right, what do we get for artillery fire? Destroyed. Destroyed, very nice. Last one, advancing fire. Destroyed. So everybody's destroyed. At the moment, we don't have any enemy forces on the board. The only way that this encounter will continue is if we actually get reinforcements that come up. Now, I just noticed something. For some reason, at the beginning of the game, I wasn't hull down, but now I am. So that was very lucky of me. But I do believe that is a bug, so let me make a note of that. Hull down display, not updated at start of encounter. See if I can't fix that before I release beta 3.07. So I'm stopped, I'm hull down. Let's button up because you never know what will happen and hope that no reinforcements show up. Good. So for that encounter, we got 6 victory points, and we already had 1 from capturing the last area. We get 3 for capturing this area. Open back up. Reconnaissance teams have told us that this area down here has light resistance, which isn't that helpful because we're not going in that direction. So let's check this one up here. Light resistance, very nice. So we got another area. Now, 5 hours and 45 minutes left. I think what I'm trying to do now is going to try to capture this area and move up the road. Medium resistance, not too bad. Let's spend a little time trying to bring in artillery. Success. Resupply truck, no. Too early, don't really need it. Battle encounter. Light weapons infantry. SPG. MG team. Artillery fire. Very nice. And again, now we see the hull down, starting hull down, which is always good, especially if you have a long-range gun and you can afford to sit still and just fire away. So let's see, any reinforcements? No. So far, the advancing fire and artillery has done most of the work for us, which is always good, because an armored commander, any way that you can destroy enemy forces before they can get a shot at you is good. Heavy resistance, great, okay. Artillery. We've been asked to recon the exit area, that's no problem. Was planning to do that anyway. Battle encounter with heavy resistance, that means 4 units. An AT gun pops up right behind us. MG team. Another AT gun, this is not looking good. And SPG. Remember, as a Firefly, we're most effective against enemy armor. We don't really have any bonuses whatsoever when it comes to taking out these AT guns. Yes, thank you, artillery. Okay, so that took out fully half of the units. And we have first attack. So we spotted a Pack 40 and an SPG, but we don't know what kind it is. Let's take a look at the Pack 40. It's got a 75mm gun. It's basically the medium level of AT guns that's available in Armored Commander. It's in our rear armor, but we are hull down. The SPG is stationary and hull down, side facing. Because it's bocage, you have to imagine a lot of these kind of long stone walls with high hedges, sometimes 8-10 feet tall, just zigzagging like a maze throughout all of this area, so that it's very easy for vehicles to be in a position where just their turret or just their gun is popping out from something that's very solid. So the moment we've spotted the Pack 40, it's in the open, it's front facing so that it can immediately fire at us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fire off some HE rounds into this anti-tank gun, because at the moment I think it is the biggest threat to us. So direct main fire, fire main gun, reload. Driver's going to stop. There's no point in even pivoting. If we did pivot, we wouldn't be able to fire the main gun. Anyway, we'd have to use the coax. And if we pivoted, there's a chance we might lose hull down. We might maintain it, but if we lose it, then we're much more vulnerable. So let's button up these guys from the ready rack. Basically, we're going to turn the turret 2 sectors and fire in some AC shells into this gun. Here we go. Might as well use direct fire mode because he's at close range anyway. 6 hit, didn't maintain rate of fire. I think, I haven't looked at the code in a while, but I think the Firefly, it's a little bit more difficult to maintain rate of fire because the shells are that much larger. It's more difficult to maintain rate of fire than it is with the 75mm guns. So we got 1 hit, less than 8 to kill. Destroyed, alright. SPG turns to face us, so now it is hull down and front facing, and luckily Allied forces took it out. Thank you, Allied forces. Let's set up the tank. And one thing always good to remember to do afterwards is restock your ready rack, because you don't want to go empty when you are desperately trying to fire off shells. So we're good. So let's take a look at the day. 2 hours and 30 minutes remaining. We want to move up this road and then into this area. Let's check. Light resistance. Battle encounter. Light weapons. AT gun. Just another Pack 40. Same gun as last time. This time at medium range. In a building, so we must be moving through, yeah, farms and fields. So these guys are holed up in sort of like stone farmhouses or barns or whatever. And light weapons infantry. Again, at this point, Pack 40 is the biggest target. So direct main gunfire, fire main gun. And because he's in a building and at medium range, let's switch to area fire. Area fire has a much easier time. It's much easier to hit targets using area fire at medium and especially at long ranges. I don't know, with the with this gun, with the 76LL, it might be actually pretty good still at medium to long range, but what I'm trying to do, what my thinking is that even if I don't take him out, I can at least pin him, so he spends a turn getting unpinned. And next turn, I've already turned my turret, and I won't have the additional penalty to hit. Firing. Still 9 LS, not too bad. Hit. Rate of fire wasn't maintained. Less than 6. Unharmed. If I'd gotten 1 less, if I'd gotten exactly 6, he would have been pinned. So light weapons infantry moves around. Pack 40's firing at us. It's not good. Hitting the turret. Oh, penetrated. What's the damage? No serious damage, but ignites a fire. Turret traverse malfunction. This means that until this is repaired, we can't turn our turret. And it's smoked by friendly teams. Thanks, friendly teams. So I got off much better than I probably should have. Because I don't plan to turn my turret anytime soon. So let's just keep firing at him. Direct main gun, yes. This time I'm going to switch to direct fire because I want to take him out. And I don't have the penalty from turning my turret. I also have a bonus because I've got 1 point of acquired target on him. Still have the smoke to contend with, which isn't good. Missed, didn't maintain rate of fire. Hit in the hull this time. It's not good, it's on the side armor. Oh! Penetrated. Oh! Not a good thing. I should have played more conservatively. I should have moved away. I wasn't hull down. He was in my side. He was in my rear armor. I thought I could take him out with 1 shot, but no, that's it. Everybody's dead. So I didn't even survive to the end of the first day. I got 38 victory points, 5 areas captured. I lost my only tank. Signed 1 quest, didn't complete any. I actually didn't destroy anything myself. It was all allies. Oh, I destroyed 1 AT gun. Okay. Let's take a look at the campaign journal. This is also exported as a text file. So if you want to review your victories and mistakes, you can take a look at that. It'll give you just simple outlines of pretty much everything important that happened. And then at the end it has a crewman report. Your final skills, what decorations you had or didn't have, and basically the date which they were killed. Which for my crew was everybody on the same day. So that's it, and now you can see that one of my crewmen has been added to the graveyard August 8th, 1944. So that is Armored Commander. You make a couple small mistakes and you're done. And of course if I had chosen casual commander selection, I would have been assigned a new tank, a whole new crew, and I would have continued on the next day. But me being me, I thought I would go ahead and try to do this one the hard way. And so good lesson, don't take an AT gun in your rear armor lightly. Even if you are in a badass Firefly tank, you're still very vulnerable. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to seeing some more Let's Plays on YouTube. Again, if you run into any problems or bugs, let me know, armoredcommander@gmail.com. I'll hopefully upload beta 307 very soon. I have to take a look at a couple bugs, but again, hopefully with every new version, it's getting closer and closer to being a complete game. So thanks again for watching.